Welcome, everyone, to Real Talk Fantasy Baseball. I am Will Power. With me, as always, is Javi the Commish. What's up, Javi? How you doing, man?
Good. How you been, brother?
Good. Can't complain. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get on last weekend, but I feel like most leagues were already basically finished up anyway. There were a couple leagues that are still playing now, up until like the very end of the season, which I don't really understand. I feel like every league should end at least a couple weeks early, just because, right now, like if we could go over to the last week, we could have gone over like the 2-star pitchers, but most of them probably wouldn't have had 2 starts because teams start to introduce more prospects. They start to rest their stars more often. And, waiver wire ads maybe could have been a little bit of a help for the people that have the league still going in their championship, but I feel like most of the time, the last week of the season, not really many people play. So we are here today talking about the 2023 ADP numbers 1 through 12.
Before we start, congratulations to you. You got second place in your keeper league, which is, not the ship, but that's not bad. And then shout out to Kevmo for taking the crown this year.
Yeah,
we'll be fighting for that next season,
matchup, dude.
Yeah,
thank you,
bro.
man.
It was really good.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I had texted him and I told him, like, dude, I lost so many good players. I lost Julio Urias. I don't even remember what the other players I lost. I remember I lost 4 like really good ones. So when I do multiple leagues, it's like it's hard to remember like which players I had in each league.
Didn't you have Freed? Didn't you have Freed in there?
Yeah, I did have. Oh, I lost Julio Urias, Joe Musgrove, Rasmussen, and Wander Franco.
Ooh, yeah.
Dude, that was 4 big hits against me, dude. I ended up losing by 40 points in the championship week.
Yeah.
If I would have had those 4 players, I mean, you can say if all you want, right? But when it comes down to it, it's like once you lose a player, if you're not right on the waiver wire and picking up the player that's going to replace him, maybe not the first week or the second week, but eventually you got to find that gem, that hidden gem. And I did find a couple of those. I had Justin Steele. I had Cole Reagans. I had a pretty decent team, a pretty nice team. But unfortunately,
dude, it was crazy. It was crazy. I didn't mean to cut you off, but the way that your pitching was set up, I'm like, dude, Will's gonna get smashed, bro. Like you just look ahead, right? And I'm like,
he had like 7 2-star
pitchers. Yeah, Kevin's pitchers just lined up, and I'm like, man, it's not even going to be close. And then, like, come Sunday, I think you were up, or Saturday, you were up by a couple points.
It was tied.
Yeah,
we were tied after Saturday night going into Sunday. Yeah, that was a great matchup,
crazy,
dude.
Bro.
But he had 4 starting pitchers going on Sunday, and I only had 2. So I kind of assumed that he was going to take it. I even offered him in the beginning. Every time I make it to the championship, I talk to the other guy that's going to be in there with me, and I tell him, like, hey, do you want to just put the pot together, the first place prize and the second place prize, split it down the middle, but the winner gets an extra 50, something like that.
Yeah.
And he was a man about it. He told me, you know what, man, I'm a gambler. I'm just going to go for it all. And it paid off for him, dude. I ended up winning $100. He ended up winning like 400, something like that. It's only a $50 buy-in, but it's more than that. It's bragging rights, and especially like in a keeper league, that's what it's about, dude. You're gonna play with the same guys every single season. You get to talk as much ish as you want next season because you are the champ. and I'm glad Kevin
Yeah,
won.
yeah, I agree.
He had a really good draft.
Yep.
He made some really good
Yeah,
trades,
you
which
did.
really put him over the top. And yeah,
Yep.
congratulations to Kevin. I
Congrats.
texted him, a couple times, and I'm glad that this league is as competitive as it is. In previous seasons, we've had where like the number 9, 10, 11, 12 guy, they just kind of fall off and they just stop playing. I really don't
Yeah.
want that anymore in our league. So I'm glad that everyone really paid attention to the end. Next season, we're actually talking about making some different rules. I was actually thinking about giving some incentives for the guys that place like 7th, 8th, and 9th, so that way the guys at the
Mhm.
bottom of the barrel are still playing for something at the end of the season.
Right,
It'll
right,
be just like draft dollars, like
right,
the seventh place will get 10 and then 5 and then 3, something like that, just to make everyone
right.
just still vested in it until the end of the season. I don't know. Something we can talk
Yeah,
about later.
right on,
Looks like we
right
have
on.
a comment already. Jose Velasquez says, "What up? What up, dog? Glad you could
What up, bro?
join in the show. Appreciate that. Fantasy is basically over, unfortunately. I mean, fortunately, I was kind of getting burnt out, as I imagine like most people do. It's a long baseball season. Now we can finally just sit back and watch the playoffs, man. And these
Hell
playoffs,
yeah,
and I am so excited about this season. I
dude.
really don't think that the Dodgers are going to win, are going to go to the World Series this season, but I'm okay with
Yeah,
that because every single team that I can see actually potentially winning this season, it's like they deserve it, dude. Look at the Orioles
yeah,
taking over the
yeah.
American League East. The
That's
Braves
awesome.
still on top in the National League East. But we saw the Phillies dominate against the Braves last season in the postseason. So come this season, is it going to happen again? I don't know
Dude,
because the
and
the
the
Braves
fact
have Charlie Morton that's kind of banged up. Max Fried has been kind of like up and down. Spencer Strider has a
yeah,
3.70 ERA when he was closer, like I think it was like a 3.02 ERA last season. Strikeouts are still there, but he was giving up a lot of home runs. And if he's going to pitch in the
yeah,
Phillies ballpark this postseason, guys like Trey Turner that have been just hitting bombs the last season, and Harper with his power back, and Schwarber batting in the leadoff position that just either strikes out or hits home runs. It's like
yeah.
they could tee off on literally any pitcher in baseball right now. And
I agree. Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I was talking to my boy from at work, and and the way that they added like the extra team, for the wild card, and just the way that all the teams are playing right now, like there's a lot of close matchups to look at. So he was asking me like, "Yo, so who goes?" Because he's a Philly guy, right? So he's like, "Who's playing the Phillies if this scenario happens, dude?" And I got so confused because of all the different things that are going on now, and I'm like, I don't fucking know, bro. I don't know who's playing who. I have to go and Google it, but like I love the fact that there's
the,
different teams in there now, bro.
the thing is,
It's
this
awesome,
season
dude.
is last year you kind of knew like every wild card team ahead of time, except for the Brewers and the Phillies. Like those were like the last two that were kind of just like, the Brewers have to lose and the Phillies have to win. And then there were instances that had to happen for for either the Phillies or the Brewers to make it. But this season, it's like there's so many teams that are in the wild
Dude,
card hunt. They're
dude, the
fighting to the
Astros
end.
might not make it, bro. The Astros might
Yeah,
not make it.
that's
Like, and we were
crazy,
talking
man.
about them being the team to beat at the beginning of the season, and now they might not even get in. I'm like,
Dude,
dude, that's
who would have
insane, man.
expected the Orioles to be on top in the AL East? That is
Not
insane to
me.
me. Kyle Bradish with a sub 3 ERA, dude,
Yeah,
mind blowing,
yeah.
dude, mind blowing. I
Yep,
did not
yep.
expect that. I don't think anyone expected that. But
No way. Nope.
playoffs start next
Crazy.
week, man, and I am hyped. I
Hell
am
yeah. I'm
sure
happy.
that our guys on
Yep.
our Monday show, Carlos and Ernie, are hyped. So anyone watching this, if you want to, watch any updates on MLB playoffs or anything that's going on in the league right now, please watch our Monday show with Carlos and Ernie Orange. I believe they go on at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which is 11 o'clock Eastern Time. So make sure you tune in. They have a really good show over there. We do the fantasy show, they do the MLB news. And maybe during the playoffs, since our fantasy show will basically be over, this is our last episode of the season. Maybe we'll kind of like do like a little collab towards the end of the season a couple times. And, we'll all talk about playoff baseball all together. That'll be a fun
Yeah,
show. I do also
yeah.
want to get Kevin on one more time. He says that he's a little busy right now, back at work after taking his paternity leave. But maybe next season we can try to figure out how we can make it so that way he can be on the show more often too, because he has a
That'd be great.
pretty good baseball knowledge. So that'd be great to have three
Yeah, he
dudes on
does.
the show with conflicting opinions and all that. I feel like that'll make for great watching. Let's see.
Same
Jose
rat.
Velasquez says he owns the Phillies. Strider does. Yeah, he says Strider owns the Phillies, and that may have been true in the past, but um, I don't know. The playoffs kind of bring out the best in every player, and we saw what happened last season with the Phillies, and I feel like any team that gets hot could win the World Series, which is what has happened multiple times, so many different times. Look at the Red Sox, look at in 2018 and the Washington Nationals in 2019. It's really just whatever team gets hot towards the end. In 2019, when the Nationals won, before the All-Star break, they were just like bottom of the National League East. Like no one even thought that they had even the opportunity to make it to the playoffs. And they ended up getting the wild card, making it all the way to the Astros and taking out the Astros, which I was very happy about, as I think most baseball fans are, other than Astros fans, But honestly, like I don't know how you feel about this yourself, but 2017 was a long time ago, 6 years ago. We didn't really find out about the scandal until 2020, but I feel like enough time has gone by and all those players have moved on except for two, which is Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman. So I'm kind of just like, I don't really care so much anymore. I'm still pissed that the Dodgers got screwed out of a championship, and possibly Aaron Judge
Yeah,
got screwed out of an MVP because that is the season that
yeah.
that Jose Altuve won. But I don't really feel like that anger anymore, like I once did. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I, I'm 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 pretty much over it. I guess it just leaves a bitter taste in your mouth, when you know your team, was right there, and then everything just kind of unraveled, and we ended up, you know, losing out on a championship. But I mean, 6 years, yeah, it is a long time. There's always gonna be, I feel like, with Dodger fans, there's always gonna be that little bit of hate, because of what happened.
Yeah.
But me
Yankees
personally, as
fans
a
too.
baseball fan in general, yeah, yeah, me personally as a baseball fan, I'm over it, dude. I'm over it. Yeah, I hate the Stros, but they're a good team, man.
Yeah.
You
If
can't really
anything,
take away, what they do on the field.
yeah, if
Yeah,
anything, I feel like I hold a little bit more animosity towards Rob Manfred for not really holding anybody accountable. They gave leniency to
right.
so many different players, and the only one that actually had disciplinary action was AJ Hinch, who ended up taking a season off, got his bearings back, and then ends up
Yeah.
becoming general or the manager for what is it, Detroit? I think it was Detroit that he got hired for. So I mean, he's still managing in the
I think
big
so.
club. So honestly, a $5 million fine for the Astros, and the players just basically got
That's
off
some change, bro.
scot-free, except for maybe like a couple hit by
Yeah.
pitches and Jose Altuve's like down season in 2021, I think it was. Like he was just terrible,
Yeah.
making like
Yeah.
so many errors at second base and just not very good at the plate. But he's turned it around, dude. He has been He's underperformed a little bit this season, except for towards the end. Towards the end of the season, he's actually become like vintage Jose Altuve, just hitting home runs
Right.
and legging out doubles and playing a very good second base also. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I like the player. I like Jose Altuve. I do not like Carlos Correa. I feel like that's the
Yeah.
only guy
Yeah.
that I can say that I don't like from that team. But he was really the only one that was very outspoken in interviews, like always talking ish about the Dodgers or Bellinger
Yeah.
or
Yep.
basically every other team in the league. And he's the one that was saying like he was trying to give excuses for Jose Altuve about the tattoo and so many different things. Like, dude, just shut your mouth. You're a baseball player. Like,
I
no
think
one really cares about.
I think he alone riled up the fans, Dodger fans and stuff, and baseball fans in general. He's the one that kind of ruffled the feathers, and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
for
And
sure.
like
Him
whatever, dude,
and
whatever.
Josh Reddick a little bit too, but because Josh Reddick is just a terrible baseball player, like his opinions didn't really like matter too much.
No.
Like no one really cared about what he said. But since Carlos Correa is actually like
Yeah.
an elite shortstop, that it was a little bit different. Jose Velasquez says, "Can we talk about Angel
Right.
Hernandez and how awful he is? Did you see this? Do you know what he's talking about, Javi? Because this was really freaking terrible, dude.
Bro.
I mean,
Yes.
it doesn't really
Dude,
matter because the
this guy,
Phillies,
he's either cockeyed or blind, dude.
it's so bad. And you know what makes it even worse? Okay, so let's explain the situation real quick. So Angel Hernandez, third base coach, third base umpire. Bryce Harper kind of like check swinged on his on what was it, a 3-2 count? I think it was a 3-2 count.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he
it
did
was.
not go past the plane. He was like maybe 5 inches in front of the plane, and Angel Hernandez rung him up anyway. He said that he went.
Dude, even
Harper,
even even at the angle that you're watching the game at, it doesn't look like he went
no,
at
not
all,
at
dude.
all. Not even a little
So
bit,
how you
dude.
man, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It wasn't even borderline. But you know what the craziest part is?
Mm,
Later on in the game, one of the Pirates, what was it, Pirates? Who were they playing yesterday? I think it was the Pirates. Um,
mm,
one of the Pirates players, they had a check swing, and he went past the plane. He definitely like that should have been a strike three call, and Angel Hernandez ended up, doing like the safe motion to say that he did not swing. So it's like I think that he did that on purpose because of what Harper,
yeah,
in retaliation for that BS call. And Angel Hernandez,
what a
dude, every
douche.
single year you're talking about this guy that he makes so many
Yeah.
bad calls. Did you know that he actually had a lawsuit about against Major League Baseball against Rob Manfred because he was not part of the postseason umpire crew back in like 2018 or 19? And it's like, dude, so
No, I
his
didn't know
complaint
about that.
was that he was claiming racism, that the league wasn't putting him in the postseason because of his Hispanic origins. It's like, dude, you're not in the postseason because you freaking suck as an umpire. You do not deserve to be in Major League
You're
Baseball. And the only
horrible.
reason why you're
Horrible.
there is because there's an umpires union, and they can't get rid of you because of that. But dude, why are these umpires
Yeah.
not held accountable to their actions? It's like Bryce Harper is probably going to get fined.
Yeah.
He's probably going to get fined, a
Yep.
few $1,000s
Yeah,
because of
he
this.
said that in the interview.
Yeah,
Yep.
but Angel
It's
Hernandez just
crazy.
gets to walk off
I don't get
scot
it.
free, and then he gets to be in the postseason as an umpire and make more bad calls. Like, how many calls do we see Angel
Yeah.
Hernandez make and eventually get overturned? There's a lot of safer out calls. But
Yeah.
the problem is
Yeah.
you can't use the instant replay for check swings or balls and strikes called at the plate. And that's the problem with Angel Hernandez. And honestly, he is the main reason
Yeah.
why I am in favor of the electronic strike zone. There's still going to be an umpire behind the plate. He's still going to call the balls and strikes, but
Yeah.
he's going to have an earpiece telling him what StatCast is saying is a ball or a strike. So if it's in that square, they're going to call it a strike. If it's outside the square, they're going to call it a ball. And he's going to be in for a big reality check, seeing like
Yeah.
how bad he really is, dude. Jose Velasquez
Yeah.
just said
Yeah.
how awful he really is, dude. He is terrible, the worst umpire in all of baseball. We did have another umpire a few seasons ago
Yeah.
that is now retired, Joe something. I don't remember. Old head. I remember there was a
Mm,
foul ball that hit him in the belly, and he just like kind of like shrugged it off. I was like, "Oh, damn, this is a tough dude," but doesn't doesn't
yeah.
excuse his poor umpiring skills. You know. Jose says, "I hope he's
That's
not
crazy, man.
this year." Talking about Angel Hernandez and the postseason umpire crew. I agree, man. I really hope he's not. It's like just like the elite players get to go to the postseason, elite teams get to go to the postseason. It should be the elite umpires that go to the postseason also. The ones with the least amount of overturned calls and
Yep.
the
Yep.
least amount of mess ups throughout the season. Basically, maybe like it should be like a player or like a team
Word.
vote. On which umpires should make it into the postseason. I don't know. There might be some umpires that they're biased
Yeah.
because they grew up as a Tigers fan or a Marlins fan or whatever. So when they're in that stadium, they might go a certain way or the other. You never know because who knows where Angel Hernandez grew up? Who knows where I honestly I can't think of any other umpires' names at the moment. If someone said something, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, umpire, Major League Baseball." But I mean, who knows what the umpires' names
Joe
are?
Schmo.
Which is why, like, I don't understand why they're so dramatic about everything too. Like, dude, we're not here to see you. We don't even see you until the camera
Yeah.
like points at you because you have to make a call about something.
Yeah.
But if there's a base
Yeah.
runner
Yep.
rounding first and going to second, there's an umpire at first, there's an umpire at second, and I never look at the umpire. When there's
Yeah.
a base runner, I'm looking at the players. I'm looking at where the ball's at. Just as we should. But anyway, we got kind of sidetracked a little bit. That was a preview for Monday's show. Because they're going to be talking about the
Yeah.
postseason.
Right.
So, moving on to the 2023 ADP numbers 1 through 12. Now, I didn't mention this before, but please, if you are watching, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. And if you are listening on Spotify, please download and hit that follow button. We would very much appreciate that. All right, so the ADP that I currently have 1 through 12 from 2023 is actually based on Yahoo only. There are a lot of other sites that have a different ADP, but since this is the one that our league uses, we are going to go off of this. So, number one overall pick from the 2023 fantasy draft was Trey Turner. Now, Trey Turner, dude, in the first half of the season and even a little bit after that, he just looked like he was the biggest bust of the season, man. Going number
Yeah.
one overall, and the counting stats were still decent, but the 247 batting average, and the 688 OPS, that was just terrible, man. And from the number one overall pick, you need more than that.
Yeah.
Pre All-Star break, he batted 247 with 10 home runs,
Yeah.
19 stolen bases, still elite in stolen bases, but he also had 95 strikeouts, which is very not Trey Turner like. Usually Trey Turner ends the season with like 150 strikeouts total, and he already had 95 before the All-Star break. So that was a big
Yeah.
hit, man. I feel like there's a lot of people out there
Yep.
that were, on the that put Trey Turner on the trade block and was trying to trade him away because they really didn't think that he was going to get out of that funk. But dude, after the All-Star
Yep.
break, 291 batting average, 16 home runs, 11 stolen bases, 54 strikeouts, and a 902 OPS. Now, I don't know about you, man, but if I drafted Trey Turner number one overall, I would be freaking ecstatic right now. I would be loving life because this guy was there in my fantasy playoffs, even though he didn't help me get to the playoffs because he was kind of terrible in the first half. Just his production towards the end of the season made it worth it for me. Maybe not a number
Right.
one
Right.
overall, but definitely a number like a top 5 overall.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
going into like next season, Do you see Trey Turner still going in the first round?
Oh yeah, yeah. I feel like um he started off slow, and yeah, I think it was just like an adjustment period for him. He was here with he was with the Dodgers, the Nationals, years before that. But I think when you go to a new stadium, new city, new team, some players, it takes a little bit of time to get adjusted, to their surroundings. Some people might not see it that way just because they get paid millions and millions of dollars. They say, yeah, you got to go and perform right off the bat. Nah, it doesn't work that way. At the end of the day, these guys are human beings. I just felt like it was an adjustment period. Um, Definitely a top five player for me next season. I think the Trey Turner you're seeing now is just gonna continue moving. It's gonna go bleed into next season. I think he's just gonna keep going because I just think he just got his feet settled. I think he's good, you know. And yeah, I'd put him top five definitely.
You know what's crazy though? So Trey Turner has 26 home runs on the season.
Yep,
And from the beginning of the season until August 1st, he only had 10 home runs. That means that from August and September, dude, he had 16 home runs just within the 2 months, and September is just about to end, in a couple days, so he still could increase that number. So
that's crazy.
the power production from Trey Turner, we've never seen this before. 9
Mm-mm.
home runs in August and 7 home runs in September. Never seen that before. Those are like stolen base numbers from Trey Turner.
Yeah,
9,
yeah,
7, 8, 10. There's been times when Trey Turner said, "I'm going to try to steal 50 bases this season." And that was before we had the bigger bases. But
yeah.
dude, in June, batted 279, 3 home runs and 11 stolen bases. Now that is a typical Trey Turner month.
No,
279, 3 home runs, 11 stolen bases. And then it was the exact opposite in August. You had him batting 333, which is amazing, with 9 home runs and 2 stolen bases. So something
that's
happened,
crazy.
with Trey Turner. I feel maybe like
You
he
know,
realizes that
I,
he's not gonna be the leadoff hitter for the Phillies,
I,
and he can't just be
I
like that, just like batting average and stolen base guy. He needs to
dude, I
increase the
saw,
power. And at Citizens Bank,
I,
that's a little bit easier, coming over from Washington and then Dodger Stadium, which are kind of like pitchers' ballparks, and that that they're not known for giving up home runs. But at Citizens Bank, it's up there in like the top 10 hitters' ballparks. So his power production should have been on the rise already, kind of going into the season. And I
yeah.
believe I actually said that before we
So
even like started this season.
so check this out. I'm looking at a comment that Jose put up. It says it was
No,
a
let's see.
standing ovation, right? So I was looking at a video about that they made, that they were talking about, like all the fans giving Trey Turner a standing ovation, kind of like to pump him up. I don't remember the exact game that this happened at, but it actually happened. And ever since that happened, he's just been on fire, dude.
Yep.
It's just, maybe it was like a welcoming, like maybe he felt like he was doing the city a disservice by not playing up to par for whatever reason, right? And everybody, like this dude, I don't know who made, you know, I don't know who went ahead and started the whole thing, but this one game that he was playing in, they all decided to give him a standing ovation, and ever since that standing ovation, the guy's been lights out. It's the
Yep.
weirdest crap, man. I don't know. Sometimes players need that. But
Hey, we
it's
got to
awesome, bro.
remember that these players are human, and humans have emotions, and baseball is a mental game, and your emotions
Yes.
definitely affect the mental aspect of your game. And just like
Yes.
I mentioned about Jose Altuve, earlier in 2021, his his mind was messing with him so much that his production just it completely failed. Very bad at the
Yeah.
plate, very bad in the field. And it is the exact opposite for Trey Turner. I feel like Trey Turner going into this season, there was so much hype, because
Yeah.
he is a career 320 hitter. Every year he's hitting 20 home runs, 30 stolen bases. It's just, there was so much pressure on him. And, when I feel like, do you remember when Alec Boehm got booed? And you can
Yeah.
hear him clearly say into the camera, "I effing hate this place," and then they made
Yeah.
shirts about it, everything. And then he came out, he apologized for it. The fans accepted the apology, and then he became a really good player, and
Yeah.
that's the emotions that we're talking about. Same thing with Trey Turner, dude. It's like he had so much hype about him coming into this season. I feel like maybe he was just like he started off struggling a little bit, and then he was like, "Dang!" Like it got into his head a little bit, And then that standing ovation took all of that away, took some of the pressure off, especially because his buddy Harper's back in the lineup, finally hitting
Yeah.
home runs again after he Harper was hitting for batting average pretty decently since he came back, but his power didn't actually come back until like July. So
Right.
that started happening around the same time that Trey Turner actually started coming around too. So I feel like, Harper kind of providing that offense took a little bit of pressure off of Trey Turner because honestly, other than Harper and Trey Turner, what other stars are on the team? Maybe JT Realmuto, but he has
Yeah.
kind of like declined over the past few years.
Yeah.
He's not the same guy he was in his final season with Miami or even his first season in Philadelphia. So
Yeah. I agree.
I feel like the
Good for
emotions
him, man.
definitely got the best of Trey Turner. Let's see. Jose says, "Well, it's like Javi said, it's a new team and some chemistry has to be built to feel comfortable." Definitely, we see what's going on in San Diego with the Padres. There is no chemistry. There is no team chemistry, and you can clearly see that because none of the guys are having fun. Last
Yeah.
season when they were winning, they had the spinner chain and the people in the stands. Like I saw a girl with acrylic nails and she had like a little San Diego spinner like on her middle fingernail, and
What the
it was
heck?
it
That's
was
crazy.
it was fun baseball, and
Yeah.
then Tatis gets popped for I almost said STDs for PEDs. uh
Whoops.
my bad. Tatis gets spot for PEDs,
PEDs.
and then
Yeah.
it's like the chemistry just kind of like it wasn't there, and
Yeah.
Machado also playing through injury all season, which no one really knew this until about 2 weeks ago. He's been dealing with a wrist injury, actually ever since he got hit by that pitch, like back in what was that like April, I think. So he's been dealing with that wrist
Um,
injury, even though he did spend a little bit of time on the IL. It wasn't enough. He tried to play through it because the hype about San Diego, everyone thought that they were going to be competing with the Dodgers for the number one seed in the National League West, and they just kind of fell off, dude. Tatis hasn't been up
yeah.
up to par. Soto started kind of slow, which we can talk about him a little bit later because he's in the top 12 from 2023 ADP. But yeah, back to Trey Turner. I feel like we're all in agreement that that standing ovation is really what kind of like it changed his mentality and got him more emotionally involved and realized like, oh, these fans really like me, and more than
Yeah.
like them holding him accountable for like the Phillies just not doing so well, but
Right.
now
I agree.
look at him go,
Definitely.
man. Look at him go. He's going to
Oof.
come into next season feeling like refreshed, and I feel like
Yep.
next season definitely a top 5. I don't know about number 1. I feel like the next guy we
Yeah.
got to talk about who went number
Oh my
2
God.
in 2023, I feel like this
Mm-mm.
guy is gonna be number 1 next season. And let me change his banner real quick. I feel like everyone knows who we're gonna
Freaking
talk about, and that
freaking God
is
mode is
Ronald
over
Acuna
here.
Jr. What the hell got into Ronald Acuna Jr. this season, man?
I
Okay,
think he
so
was
Aaron
pissed that
Judge.
he was injured last season, bro.
Yeah, probably. So Aaron Judge
Dude.
last season had one of the best offensive seasons ever, breaking Yankees home run records, Roger Maris and Babe Ruth and all that. And then you have Ronald Acuna Jr. that just comes in this season. Everyone thinks he's going to be off to a slow start because he still was healing from like his knee injury from running into the wall like a season and a half ago. But dude, this guy
What knee
started
injury,
off. This guy
bro?
started off in March batting 333, and the only month that he batted under 300 was in May, which was a 298. So he basically batted at least 300 every month of this season with some power, with a with a lot of speed.
That's
Sorry,
go.
I'm trying to keep the cussing down to a minimum so I don't have to hit that explicit content tab. So that way we don't have to worry about the kiddos listening to some foul mouths or
Bro,
if there's any kids listening to this podcast or whatever. But
trip.
when I do upload to Spotify, it asks me like, is there explicit content? I'm kind of just iffy about that. Like, did I cuss in this episode? I don't think I did, but maybe, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Ronald Acuna
Yeah.
Jr. So far, 41 home runs, 70 stolen bases. The season's not over yet. Is he going to surpass that? He might. There's still a few games left. They're still through this weekend. The Braves are still on fire.
Yep.
He's batting 330 with 11 home runs and 8 stolen bases in September. Dude, the Braves are going to take it, man. The Braves are going to take the World Series.
Yeah.
I do not see any team beating guys like Ronald Acuna Jr. and Matt Olson. And then Ozzy Albies, he kind of started off slow too because he was battling injury in the beginning of the season. But dude, that guy's been freaking amazing also. I don't care about how much the Braves pitching is kind of suffering because I feel like any team that goes against the Braves, they have problems with their pitching staff too. But which offense is going to be better? It's got to be the Braves for me, dude. I think the only thing that might hinder them, which hindered them last season and the Dodgers last season too, is that the bye week. Well, not the bye week, but like the bye like half a week. Having no games for 4 or 5 days in a row, that sucks, man. Baseball is all about momentum and hot streaks, and if you take a little bit of time off, your timing's going to be off. It's okay for these guys to have a day off or maybe 2 days off in a row, sometimes, but when you're taking like almost a full week off, that messes with your timing so much. Anyone that's played baseball knows this. That's why a lot of guys in March and April, they struggle until they finally hit their stride and they get their timing right. And the only thing that these teams can do is play simulated games, where their pitchers are going out there and pitching against their own teams, which is fine. But, these pitchers aren't going 100%, which means the batters aren't going to be able to see like anything comparable to what they're going to be seeing in the playoffs. And these guys all amped up and shit in the and stuff in the playoffs, usually throwing like 95 miles an hour. They're going to end up throwing 97, 98, and putting more spin on their curveballs. And this postseason is going to be wacky, dude. But I think that Ronald Jr. is going to be the MVP for 2023, even though Mookie Betts is in there also. Mookie Betts is higher in WAR. He has a higher WAR than Ronald Acuna Jr., but Ronald Acuna Jr. broke the freaking record. There has never been a player that has had 40 home runs and 50 stolen bases in a single season. There's only been 4 players total that have had 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases in a single season. And Ronald Acuna Jr. broke this by 30. 41 home runs and 70 stolen bases so far.
Freaking God mode, bro. Oh my God. Like this guy is man, like I seen the stats and I'm like 70 stolen bases, dude? Like now let me ask you this. Do you think that because of the base size change, do you think that kind of elevated his ability to steal that many bases? Because there's a lot of dudes out here that are stealing more bases than usual.
Yeah.
But I don't know, with him, he's just so fast, and I just feel like it's just a part of his game that maybe it wouldn't have even mattered. maybe it wouldn't
I
even matter.
think I
But
don't think it would have
the
mattered
fact that
as
he's hit
much.
over 300, damn, that
He has
crazy,
a
bro, crazy.
336 batting average on the season. His expected batting average is 357.
Yeah,
So he's actually underperforming his expected stats a little bit. But going back to the stolen base thing,
wow,
the bigger bases, I think it did. Um, I don't think it helped him get more stolen bases, but I think that it did entice him to try to steal more often. I think
right,
maybe he was
right,
stealing in certain situations that he normally wouldn't have, in the past, because it's not just about the bigger bases. It's also that the pitchers can only throw over and try to pick off twice per at bat. So if Acuna is on
right,
first and this one at bat, if the pitcher throws over twice, trying to hold him back closer to first base, after those two times, Acuna can just bounce, dude, and just go.
yeah,
It it
yeah,
it didn't
yeah,
matter at that point. The pitcher's not going to throw over, and if he did, he's automatically awarded second base anyway. So
right,
a,
right,
a lot of these guys are running because they know that the pitcher's not really going to be able to throw over, or they think that the pitcher's not going to choose to throw over, and
yeah,
you also got to think about these catchers, man. There's maybe only like five elite catchers, when it comes to like defensive abilities, the throwdown from catcher to second base that can really catch up to these really fast base runners. And
right,
Acuna, he's up there, in like the 90 something percentile in sprint speed. So he's a fast
yeah,
dude. I don't think that the bigger bases matter whether it was like a safer out call, but I think it gave him more opportunities to run than in previous
right,
seasons. So if we didn't
yeah.
have the bigger bases and then the rule changes about the pitchers running over, maybe he would have only gotten 50 stolen bases, which is still huge.
It's
He
still a
surpassed
lot,
that by
yeah,
320 so far. Yeah. No one never
yeah,
done that before. No, never done that
yeah,
before. I do feel like there's going to be a little asterisk next to his name, maybe not in the books, but just to kind of in people's heads because they know about the rule changes that Major League Baseball had. But I'm still not taking
yeah.
anything away from this guy because he's the only
No
one that
way.
did it. Everyone else had
Yep,
opportunities to do this, and no one else has taken it. He's the only one. Now he is a leadoff hitter, so he has a lot more opportunities because there's not going to be a lot of runners in front of him when he actually gets on base.
right.
So that
Yep,
that
yep,
helps him a lot too. Versus guys like Trey Turner, that the Phillies actually put him like third or fifth in the lineup. They like to put the power hitter in the leadoff spot. So Trey Turner, his stolen bases did suffer just a little bit. But I think Kyle Schwarber is actually a free agent after the season. So we're going to see what the Phillies are going to do next season. Maybe Trey Turner will be put back into the number one
the
spot,
leader.
or
Yep,
they'll just sign Kyle Schwarber for another 1 or 2 years and then just keep him in the leadoff spot. I don't know. But Kyle Schwarber was
yeah,
actually a big disappointment in the beginning of the season, only batting like 180, 185, something like that. He barely got over the 200 mark just like a month ago, and he was kind of hovering. It was like a little bit above 200, a little under 200. But the power is still there, still hitting 40 bombs. So it's like it's give and take with that guy. But anyway, Ronald Acuna
yeah.
Jr., number 2 overall in 2023. In 2024, he is
Number
my
one.
number overall. I am definitely going Ronald Acuna Jr., whether it's categories or
I
points.
agree.
I don't care. He's my number one.
Don't
All right.
matter.
Number
Yep, I agree.
3
I agree.
from 2023 was Aaron Judge. And anyone who's watched this podcast when I talk about Aaron Judge knows that I do not like to draft Aaron Judge. And to prove that, I actually traded Aaron Judge in the offseason this past season for Bobby Witt Jr. And I feel like that really paid off. Bobby
Great
Witt
trade.
Jr. was a, a
Great trade.
beast this season, dude. And
Yep,
you were the benefactor
yep.
of that going into our draft in 2023 because you drafted Bobby Witt Jr. And I even made comments like, dang, you paid a lot for Bobby Witt Jr. But dude, I take that comment back because that was a great pickup. And they're already talking
Yep,
about Bobby Witt Jr. possibly going number 3 overall next season, taking over for Aaron Judge in that number 3 spot. So good job for that one, drafting Bobby Witt Jr. But Aaron Judge, man, every single season. My biggest fear is that Aaron Judge is just not going to be healthy and he's going to be on the IL 2 or 3 times. And it
Yeah.
happens almost every single year. The only times that I remember that Aaron Judge has been healthy is the first season, his rookie year, and then his final season before free agency, before he signed that big Yankee contract. But other than that, it's always
Yeah.
something, dude. Like this season, okay, it was an accident. It was a freak accident. He runs into the wall at Dodger Stadium, right in front of the Dodgers bullpen, or actually right in front of the Yankees bullpen at Dodger Stadium, the away bullpen, and ends up breaking the fence. He crashes through the fence, and tears a ligament in his big toe. And it's a freak accident, but I feel like this guy kind of always has freak accidents, and it's just he's accident prone, man. Injury prone, and I don't like
He's a
that.
big dude.
He's a big
Yeah,
dude.
he's a big.
He
I think I think I think he needs. We talked about him being a DH. I think that would be the best spot for him if you want to
Then what do you
keep
do
him
with Stanton
healthy.
though? Because the Yankees
And
still have Stanton for like 6 more years.
I guess you alternate maybe between both of them. You know,
Yeah,
you got to keep the guy healthy. I mean, yeah, it was a freak accident, but I mean, I just can't see him running out there in the outfield being as big as he is, as heavy as he is. You
yeah.
know, it was a
Hey,
toe. You look at it, it's a toe, and you're like, it's not a big deal. But for a dude his size, it's a big deal, man. It's a
320
big deal,
pounds or whatever he weighs, standing at 6'7".
bro.
That's a lot
Yeah,
of weight on that toe that's torn. Honestly, man,
yep,
who's the Yankees first baseman? It's Anthony Rizzo. And Anthony Rizzo is kind of like towards the end of his career. He's not the champion that he was, back in 2017, 2016 with the Cubs, and I
yep.
feel like if you can get Aaron Judge or Giancarlo Stanton to learn how to play first base, these are
Not a
big
bad
dudes that
idea.
have big reach. They're doing it with Harper in Philly. Putting him at first base. Why
Yep,
not try just the same thing with Aaron Judge or Giancarlo Stanton? It's like these guys have to figure things out, think outside the box. And I know that the media says that Aaron Boone doesn't have the he's not in hot water. Like the Yankees aren't thinking about getting rid of Aaron Boone. Okay, then figure out how to win some games, because this season you were
yep,
relying on Judge way too much,
yep,
because of
yep.
coming off of that MVP season. Garrett Cole can't handle the pitching all by himself, and Aaron Judge
Hmm.
can't handle the offense all by himself. You got to give him
Yep,
help. And the way you do
yeah,
that is by moving players around. The Dodgers did it with Mookie Betts, a Gold Glove right fielder, moving him over to second base and shortstop because he's filling a hole. And you have
yep.
outfielders in your farm system that you want to bring up, like James Outman, or with the Yankees. Uh, what's the rookie's name that just got hurt towards the end of the season?
Uh, Jason or Hassan,
Yeah,
right?
that guy. Yeah, so
Yep,
that's one that could take over in the outfield, and have Stanton DH or Judge DH, and the other one play first base. With
yeah.
Anthony
That
Rizzo
that's
as a
that's not a
backup.
bad idea at all. That actually work out in their
How
favor.
often how often do first basemen really get injured unless it's like a freak accident like we saw with Max Muncy a few years ago, where his elbow just got jammed and tore like
Yeah,
his what was
yeah.
it,
Not
UCL,
often.
I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not often.
yeah. It's not often.
First basemans are the
Hmm.
ones that stay healthy most of the time because they don't really have to do a lot of moving. Look at Freddie Freeman, dude. He plays 162 games almost every single season or
Yep,
close to it. So I think that could be a
yep,
huge
yep.
a huge thing that the Yankees could actually do. But yeah, that was Aaron Judge. Going into next season, I still think that he's worth a first round pick. I personally would never do that because of my injury concerns for him. Oh, I still have Ronald Acuna Jr. up there. Sorry, got to change the banner again. Keep on forgetting to do that. But
Hmm.
anyway, so Aaron Judge, what do you think? First round next season?
Yeah. First round. I want to say outside the top 10 for me because there's just so much other young talent out there that
Yeah,
is
there is.
only getting better. But the injury, the injury, the injuries really are a concern. So I would say, yeah, maybe like at the tail end of, depending on what size your league is, 10 or 12. I'd go like at the tail end of round one, maybe beginning of round two,
It's so
somewhere along
hard
there.
to not say he's a first round player because when he does play, it's the power is always there. In May he batted 342 with 12
Yep.
home runs, and then he was injured in June, and then he came back at the end of July. So from the end of July to August, he had 10 home runs, within a month, and then now in September he's batting 295 with 8 home runs. So when he's
Right.
there, he's great. But if you're gonna draft Aaron Judge, just have it in your mind that you need an IL spot just for him, because he's probably gonna go
Yep.
on the IL at least once, maybe twice. Honestly, dude,
Yep.
we're at 50 minutes already. I think we might only be able to go through 1 through 6 today because we're only on number
That's
3. We
cool.
only got 9 minutes left. So
That's
that was
cool.
Aaron Judge. I think, because of the production that he is capable of, I think that he's worthy of like a top 6 pick. I just wouldn't do that just because of my concerns with his injury history. Moving on to number
Yep.
4 from
I
the
agree.
2023 season, Jose Ramirez. This season, Jose Ramirez, he's struggled against lefties, but he still had really good power numbers and speed to go along with it. I think he's a safe bet for 2020 every single season in one of the shallowest positions in baseball, and that's third base. There's not really a lot of elite third basemen
Yeah.
anymore like there once was. So I feel like that is
Yep.
what kind of gives Jose Ramirez a leg up on his competition. ADP was 4 in 2023. I I don't really have like a set like top 12 in my head of what I'm thinking for next season, but I still think that Jose Ramirez is a top 6, at least a
Yeah.
top 6 for me.
I,
The
I
third base thing, every single season he's batting, well, except for just that one season where he was just terrible. But most seasons he bats like close to 280 with at least 20 home runs and at
Yep.
least 20 stolen bases. So he's pretty safe when it comes to batting average, home runs, and stolen bases. The only downside that I see from him is that he plays for the Guardians, which means there's not a lot of run opportunities and not a lot of RBI opportunities. So maybe in a
Right.
roto league, he's not really like the guy that I want to have there. I'd probably rather have like an Austin Riley, who I know is going to have more opportunities for RBIs and runs. But in a points league, I'm definitely going Jose Ramirez as my first third baseman off the board.
Yeah, I agree. He Jose Ramirez had a Jose Ramirez season this year, almost identical to what he did last season. Maybe a little lower on the home runs, but he literally batted 282 as opposed to 280 last year. So the consistency is crazy. But because of the scarcity of third base, you got to put him up there. He'd probably be the first third baseman off the board. Um, I know Witt plays third base, right? Like he plays multiple
Yeah,
positions, but I think he
for the
plays third
Royals.
base as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, but Ramirez definitely, I would say in the top 6 for sure.
Yeah, Bobby Witt came into this season as a shortstop, but he's been playing third base, I think, more often. So next
Hmm.
year, I think he's still going to have that shortstop and third base eligibility. But going into the 2025 season, I think he's only going to be having the third base eligibility. So
There you go.
Bobby Witt could be the only competition for Jose Ramirez at the third
Yeah.
base spot for 2024. But yeah, dude, Jose Ramirez, you said it. He's been great. The thing that I see with him is he is highly valuable in categories and in points because he's going to get home runs and stolen bases, which is great for categories leagues. And his plate discipline is amazing, which helps a lot in points leagues. His K percentage is only at a 10.3. We always say like if it's under 30 for a power hitter, like that's good. If it's under 20, that's elite. And he's only at a 10.3. So that is just amazing. He does not walk a lot. He has a 10.5 walk rate, but he puts the ball in play a lot. So that is the main reason why he doesn't have the greatest like on base percentage. Like his on base percentage is still a 356, so it's still good. It's still really good. But
Yeah.
I like to see like about 100 points higher, on the OBP versus the batting average in a points league. Like that's what I consider to be elite. Guys like Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, Kyle Schwarber, even though Kyle Schwarber batted around 200, his on base percentage is still about 350. And his on base percentage
Yeah.
is actually the same as Jose Ramirez, but his batting average was like 80 points lower than Jose Ramirez. So
Crazy.
even though Schwarber, like that's why I like to look at Schwarber also in points leagues and in categories leagues because of his amazing plate discipline and his power to go along with it. All right, moving on to number 5. Now, dude, this has been one of my favorite players. Last season and this season going into it. He started off kind of slow. ADP number 5 in 2023. That's Julio Rodriguez. Started off slow, after a breakout season in 2022. Before the All-Star break, he batted 249 with 13 home runs. The speed is still there. The speed and the power is still there. 22 stolen bases, but only a 721 OPS. Post All-Star break, batting 320 with 19 home runs, 15 stolen bases, and a 977 OPS. So he exchanged a little bit of the speed for a little more power and a little more batting average. But dude, Julio Rodriguez is going to be a force to be reckoned with for years to come. This dude's only 22 years old, 6'3", 230 pounds. He's the future of Seattle, man.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
are so
definitely.
lucky to have him. He is going to be one of the reasons why they're going to make postseason runs in the future.
Yeah.
And I Mookie Betts is up there, for next season, top 6. But I feel like Julio Rodriguez and Mookie Betts, like those two are going to be like my top 2 outfielders going in the
Yeah.
first 6 picks. Whether it's
Yeah.
categories, in a points league, I think I'd rather have Mookie Betts just because his plate discipline is a lot better. Julio Rodriguez strikes out 24.3% of the time and only walks 6.7% of the time. So that is the biggest drawback that I see from Julio Rodriguez. But dude, the 977 OPS after the All-Star break, I feel like he just kind of had like some little mental issues in the beginning, but then once he got past that, he got into his own, and he has been just amazing, just like his rookie season last year. Thoughts? Do you think
Yeah.
he's the top 6 this year?
Oh yeah, I would actually put him probably top 5, to be honest with you. Like you said, he started off real slow. But I just feel like the age, he's young, he's hungry, he's gonna swing at a lot of pitches. I feel like he's going to mature into that where he's gonna, take pitches instead of swing at pitches. Um, but what can you say? We thought sophomore slump. What sophomore slump? The guy had a great
Yeah.
season, and
So
and it. I mean, it looks like they might. They're gonna get into the playoffs. We don't know yet. We won't know about
possible.
until the
Yeah.
weekend. So it'd be
The
great
race
to
is
see this
on.
dude in the postseason, bro. Oh my God,
Yeah,
like
man.
to see these young players in the postseason and see what they can do. Man, I'm all for it. So
Dude,
I put him like in my top five for me.
the
So
only hole I see in his game is the strikeouts. If he can just
yeah,
get down to 20% or less, I feel like that would just enhance his game so much. But just like you said, dude, he's 22. He's swinging at a lot of pitches because he wants to hit the ball, just like all these
yeah,
guys do. But, once he kind of calms down a little bit and brings out that plate discipline, like I feel like he is going to be a top 5 fantasy option for a long time to come. And mentioning
yep,
Mookie Betts was actually number 6 last year in the 2023 draft. And dude, Mookie started off a little bit slow also in March and April, but dude, in May, from May on, he was just incredible, dude. Batted 143 with 1 home run in March, 242 with 3 home runs in April. But then in May, batting average suffered slightly a little bit because he was still part of that slump in the beginning. Batted 269 in May, but had 9 home runs. 9 home runs in 1 month from a guy that's not really known as like a big power hitter. In June,
Yeah,
batted 309 with 9 home runs. In July, batted 305 with 5 home runs. And then August and September, dude, September has been a little bit slow because he fouled off a ball off
yeah,
his left foot in the beginning of
right.
September, and it's hindered him a little bit. But in August, he batted 455 with 11 home runs. And if it wasn't for his elite defense, he would not even be in the MVP talks because of Ronald Acuna Jr. But Mookie Betts does not make mistakes on the field, dude.
Mm,
He is
yep,
one of the best elite defenders, whether it's right field, shortstop, second base, it doesn't matter, man. This guy can play any position. He is good at everything he does, man. He has multiple 300 games in bowling. He golfs. He has a podcast. Like, dude, he freaking does it all, man. He has the
that's crazy.
swagger, the charisma. He's a
Yep,
jack of all trades, and he's
Mookie is
definitely a
awesome.
five-tool player. I
Yep,
love Mookie Betts, dude, and
yep,
he's on the wrong side of 30 now. He's going into his age 31 season, but I don't see any signs of slowing down. He seems to
no,
be getting better every season.
yeah,
Ever since
yep,
joining the Dodgers from Boston to the Dodgers, it seems like every single year he's just getting a little bit better. This season he batted 309 so far. Last season was a 269. He has 39 home runs so far this season with 35 last year. 40 doubles this year, 40 doubles last year. So that's about the same. 14 stolen bases this year, 12 stolen bases last year. The walks, dude, compared to last year, he has 94 walks this season compared to 55 last season. The plate discipline has gotten
wow,
just so much better for Mookie Betts. Only
that,
105 strikeouts. If you can be around 105 strikeouts, it's dude, from less than 150 strikeouts is good. You know, Under like 100 and I'll
that's
say like
crazy.
110 strikeouts should be considered elite. Especially the amount of games that this guy played. He's played 148 games so far.
Yeah,
He's gotten a few days off because the
yep,
Dodgers had clinched the
yeah,
division
that's what I was
early.
gonna say. That's crazy.
Man, Mookie Betts definitely top 6 for me. I think he actually might be like
Oh yeah,
right after Ronald Acuna Jr. next season. I think Acuna and Betts might be number 1 and 2 next season for me.
yeah, I don't disagree. You can make a case for Trey Turner, 2 or 3, but after Acuna, the 2 spot is pretty much like up in the air between Mookie
Yeah.
Betts and Trey Turner. So, what can you say about Betts? Betts is a great player, man, and he's very consistent every season. We talk about how good he is, how great his defense is, and you think, oh shit, he's 30, he's going into 31. Are we going to see a decline? And dude, he's playing better than he did last season. Like,
Mhm.
you know, that's
Honestly, like
crazy. Yeah, man, definitely.
I don't know how much better Mookie Betts can get. I don't think that the
Yeah,
trend
yeah,
is gonna keep going. I don't think he's gonna keep on getting better, but I think the consistency is gonna stay there because Mookie Betts has just shown his resiliency and his like Tony is always famous for saying, "What have you done for me lately?" You never have to worry about that with Mookie Betts. He scuffled a little bit in the
no,
first month and a
definitely
half
not.
of the season, but dude, he is so consistent. And I love Mookie Betts.
Yeah,
I love Mookie Betts. I love Ronald Acuna Jr.
Fre-
Those
Fre-
are my number 1 and 2.
Freddie,
And I think,
Freddie, Freddie Freeman esque.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
You know what I
That
mean?
we'll save for another show, though. So we have reached the end of our show. Thank everyone for joining us tonight. We are at that hour and 4 minute mark. I would like to go into the next 6, but unfortunately, we're out of time. We spent a little time talking about the playoffs, because we're excited about the playoffs. They're already happening next week. But thank everyone for joining. We really appreciate you guys. Once again, please hit that subscribe and that like button on this video. And if you're listening on Spotify, please hit that follow button and download some episodes. And we appreciate you guys. And this was our final episode for the 2023 fantasy baseball season, but we will be back soon. Maybe we'll be back before the holidays, maybe not. It depends on timing, or if anything happens, trades or whatever. Maybe we'll have like a special episode or whatever, and we can get on. But for now, we are saying thank you for a great 2023 fantasy season. We are done, I guess, for now. And we will see you guys next season. Thanks again for joining.
Thanks for the support, guys.